feel like the lag on it gets a little bit bigger every day. It's a little dark today, but boy, is that leaf coming in. Ah, I don't like that one. There we go.
Okay, hey Josh. Sorry, I didn't see you coming. Welcome, by the way. Haven't seen you in a while. I hope everything is well with you. I hope your 2021 is. I actually don't know how to finish that statement. If I hope it's fine. I hope your 2021 is fine so far. Better than last year so far. Whatever that means. It's only been 7 days. It's been exactly 1 week, so I don't know how much can be improved in 1 week, but I hope it is um, any improvement. But I've been okay. Thank you for asking. Hello, Jesse. Also, Josh Sindri, when you say you need to get caught up and that you've still been listening to my old music, what are you listening to? Because as far as I'm concerned, you were here when new musical came out. Like I didn't release any new music all year last year, so it's not like you missed out on some like big 2020 project. Like the last music I released was, at least self-released, was late 2019, like 2019 fall. Um, oh, like no, it's not. There it is. Yeah, Josh, you didn't miss out on any new releases. Like I've definitely made some new music. If you don't come into the Friday streams, you wouldn't have seen the new music I'm making. But as far as releasing, I didn't release any music last year. It was actually that was the new thing for me. That's relatively new thing. Um, and I mean, the funny thing is, even with me not technically releasing any music last year, music by me still came out last year. Mm. Um, I had a remix that came out last month in December, and then towards the beginning of the year, um, oh, Liana, don't remind me. I released a remix or a remix by me was released last December, last month, and I also had a song come out at the beginning of last year called "The View," but again, it wasn't released by me, and I made it about a year earlier or a year prior to that. And so, but I mean, as far as self-release things, like things that I was putting out, nothing came out last year, and so that's kind of nice. Joe said it's almost nostalgic being here again. I remember coming into your Instagram streams regularly when I was 18. Now I'm about 23. Wow, about to be 23. Ah, Michael Jordan. That's cool. That's cool. I hope everything is well with you. Wow, that is a while. Have I really been streaming that long? Have I been streaming for 5 years? This sucks. I quit. This is horrible. Oh my god. retracting and redacting, Liana? It's extra smooth today. Not as crunchy, if that makes any sense. It's crunchy smoothie. Redacted is like removing a word. And what is retracted? Retracted is removing the whole thing? The whole statement? The whole sentence? Oh, word up. Interesting. English. What a horrible language. Redacted is like I still say you can't see it. Retracted is like I took it back. Redacted is I can see that it. You know, Line has that. In the Line messaging app, you can unsend messages. And in the Line app, you can unsend messages. But the person can see that you unsent it. Like, it gives them a notification where it's like, oh, Omniboy unsent a message. And I kind of don't like that. I would prefer that it was, like, completely retracted. But then I guess, I mean, in YouTube, I can also see, like, Liana message retracted. I think I maybe prefer for there to be no trace. Wow, hi, Umbe. I didn't know that there was going to be this much. I didn't know there was going to be this much. I was asking a really stupid question, actually. So, it's not a question that really mattered. It's not a question that mattered. But thank you, Liana, for reminding me of that. I'll be thinking about that today now. I have to call my mom anyway. After this stream. So I was gonna do it before, but I was pretty sure if I called my mom before the stream wasn't going to happen on time. So I'm gonna about 11 o'clock. I'm gonna call me mammy. Good morning, Lindsay. You know, I feel silly saying hello or good morning to people, particularly after I've already talked to them before the stream starts. Like in my brain, there is a separation between Discord and the stream, in that like if I've talked to somebody in the Discord, especially if I've said good morning to them, I still feel like I have to say good morning into the stream. It's like it's a different venue. I don't know. Plus, I don't want to seem rude, but Josh wasn't there. Josh wasn't in the Discord, so. I mean, Josh hasn't been anywhere for a while. I hope everything is really well with you, Josh. I don't remember where you are, like, in the world. I'm sure at some point I knew, but I hope everything is well there. Good morning, Leanna. What if I was a coffee person? What if this was coffee instead every morning instead of a smoothie? I wonder if I'd be different. I wonder if I'd be nicer to you guys. segments of the Booba theme, probably over the weekend. What is today? Thursday? I feel like a ghost. Guys, yesterday was weird, right? Yesterday, I remember the early moments of it. I remember working out. I remember working up a sweat and feeling like, you know what, today's the day. Wait, was that yesterday? Did I stream yesterday? Of course I did. What? Actually, I'm rapidly forgetting yesterday. I don't remember yesterday, it turns out. I'm pretty sure I worked out. And then I must have streamed. I just remember, I guess, I don't remember the stream. I don't even remember working out. I remember waking up, I remember things happening, and then I remember that thing happening pretty much all day. And then the day was over. Wow. I had one of those feature like the vivid dreams. Last night, says Liana, so I feel relaxed. My brain process some stuff. Aren't those wonderful? Oh, wow. The real vivid ones. Gotta love them. I'm in New York, says Josh. Just graduated college. Congratulations, Josh, on graduating college. If I knew the graduation theme, I'd play it for you. I would. Life has been as expected. Life has not been how I expected it to be, says Josh, but that's fine. Indeed, I agree, Josh. Just an update since it's been forever. Hope you've been good on me. I've been about the same as you just described yourself to be, minus the college graduation. Vivid dreams or something else. Glad you're feeling relaxed now, Leon. Yeah, we're all glad that Leon's feeling relaxed. I've been just existing, says Umbe. Marvelous, marvelous. Haven't we all? You know, even dead, you still exist. Isn't that nice? That you don't even have to try to do it after a while. Even after somebody ices you, you still get to keep existing to some capacity, I suppose. My morning is chill, says Lindsay. Making food right now, typically slow morning for me. I would like a slow morning. I would like a slow morning away from home, is what I would like. Adding interesting harmony to songs. Hold on. Jaime's here. About to head to work, but I thought I'd check in and see how everyone is. Everyone is fine. Thanks, Jaime. I do appreciate it. I hope you have a good day at work today. So there's when we're thinking about the Booba theme is a very simple song. When you really think about it, it's like one note with a melody that goes over the top of it. Not a lot of complex chord play happening in Booba. So the melody, all white keys, pretty much all the white keys. And the bass line, it's not actually a chord. There is no chord happening in the left hand when I play that melody. It's actually just one note, really. It's this note. It's really only two different notes, so I'm starting here, I'm going up here, and I'm going back down. And so it's a really simple thing, and that's one of the things that I liked most about it, is that it was really simple. There wasn't a lot of like cool, fun chord play happening there. Had no idea Booba had a theme, says Jaime. It was like some song that I started playing for one of the sound explorations that we do, and then Liana named it the Booba theme. But yeah, Booba does have a theme now, Jaime. But yeah, that's it's just the melody over that bass line. And then there's a chord. In the right hand though, not in the left hand. The left hand still stays on bass line. And it starts over. And so when playing it today, I thought I would try to add some somewhat interesting harmony into it. Thanks, Josh, for stopping by. I do appreciate you, both you and Jaime, and I hope you both have a marvelous rest of your day. Thursday. I hope you guys have good Thursdays. So instead of having it just be a bass line with the melody over it, try to put chords in there. But there is this chord that I end Clover Salad with for those of you that are familiar with Clover Salad, the song. I play it almost every stream, but that song ends by going. It goes. Now those are two different chords. To me, my brain kind of sees those two chords as the same chord because they kind of rest in the same place, but they are two different chords. Chord number one, chord number two, and that was the first time that I'd used that chord in any of my arrangements. I used it just at the end of Clover Salad. Since I've used it there, I have kind of like shoehorned it into other songs. That's kind of the way that I make music. I assume that's the way a lot of people make music, actually. Is like you learn a new trick, you learn a new skill, you learn a new chord, you learn a new cool melody thing, a new riff, and then you kind of shoehorn it anywhere you can find places for it until it becomes natural to you, and then you stop using it as much. You start practicing some restraint and just putting it where you feel like it could be a benefit. But since this is kind of a newer chord for me, I started shoehorning it into places where maybe it didn't belong or maybe it didn't need to be, but just places I could find opportunity to use it, so that I can get used to playing it more naturally. And so the Booba theme, I thought it would be cool if instead of hitting this chord, it would be cool if instead of hitting this one, I can hit that one, that new chord that I learned. And it's nice because the highest note of that chord is the first note of the Booba theme melody. So I started using it that way today for the first time. And for that note, for those notes, I added a melody to it. I added a harmony to it. So it goes. And then, because I feel like, wow, all right. Bear with me, guys. So a thing happens in melody and voice leading and harmonies where typically you, as the listener, are going to gravitate towards the highest note. I've talked about this a few times in streams, but not really to any length that I feel like it connected with people in the stream. But like, if you're hearing a chord progression, typically you are going to pull the melody from the highest note you're hearing. I don't exactly know why this is. I don't know why humans do this. I don't know why the highest note always sounds more prominent, why it cuts through more. Maybe it's a frequency thing, because they're higher frequencies. Whatever. Anyways, point is, if I play this, I think that I was hitting a lot of notes, but usually what the human ear is going to gravitate to if I'm hitting, or wait, you're going to hear da-da-da. There's a lot of notes that is happening here, but you're only hearing, which is the highest notes I'm hitting in each chord, if that makes sense. Now, I know if you sat down, you could pull apart, basically like what I do, you can pull every single note out of that. You can listen and go, duh, and then listen for the other notes. Duh. You can hear that one. You can hear other notes, but just it's easy to gravitate towards the highest note. And And so when I'm doing melodies for a song like this, the melody is very prominent. And if I want to add a harmony to that last bit, I can go like this. So you can hear the original melody is still in there. All I've done is added a second harmony on top of it. But the problem that happens there is because since we in our ears gravitate towards the higher note, usually in a melody or in a chord progression, you can lose the original melody if you're stacking a note on top of it. So what I do to keep the original melody, even though there's a higher note happening, is what I'll do is I'll go like this. So now we can still hear the da da da, which is what I want people to hear. I don't want people to hear do do do. I don't want people to hear that. I want people to hear this. And so what I do is I stack an octave on top of it, so you can still get those notes. So it gives it like a rich, harmony-rich movement within the melody, but it doesn't distract from the notes I want the listener to hear. A lot of times when you're working, especially with like really dense chords and stuff like that, a lot of people are going to just pull the highest note. And this can be very limiting sometimes, because I can play a variety of like very what's the word? Very complex chords, right? I can go like this. I can go. And even though I'm hitting like really fancy chords, the highest note is always this note here. And so you're hearing it here, 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 you're hearing it here. And even though I'm playing like wild chords, that note kind of sticks out as the one constant thing because it is the highest note. And so sometimes it could be limiting, you know, in that case where you want there to sound like there's a shift, and you're just like same note, same note, same note, same note, same note. Sometimes though you can use it to your advantage. You can, like I like doing it in that way to make the chord progression feel unbalanced, kind of. Like if I'm hitting this chord progression, it gives it a sense of like, oh, what's happening up here is really weird and kind of off. But since the high note stays the same no matter what, it gives it kind of this cool imbalance of like change, but also this static, stubborn one note that's ringing out over everything else. I like that sound. But you can also use it to your advantage in ways like complex harmonic movement. I don't even want to say complex. I'll just say harmonic movements. I've done them in several songs where instead of hitting a full chord, you'll hit a melody like... very simple melody. And then you can add a harmony to that. To it to keep that the first melodic movement, the below, like the lower note. And so you can kind of give the illusion of shifting or change when you're really not hitting anything new. You're not going to any like new keys or even playing new chords. You can play it the first way through like this. Back and play it this way. And then go back and play it this way. I mean, I messed up on that last time. But it's a way to kind of enrich songs you're already playing. And so if you're playing a song that's not completely voice-led, like how Keyline is, and you're just like, it sounds boring, I kind of want to jazz it up, I want to enrich what I'm already playing. a very easy way to do that is by adding harmonies to, and it doesn't even have to be to every note in the melody, guys. Sometimes, if you think about the song, what's it called? French Lavender. See that, just that part? That's a harmony there. Just for really 3 notes, but only 2 unique notes, you know? So I'm not doing harmonies throughout the entire thing. You can kind of plug harmonies. Maybe there's a harmony on this one note in the melody. Maybe there's a harmony on this one note in the melody. Even when you think about the song Home, this one, there's this part. Now I've added harmonies to all of them, and it kind of changes. It feels like the harmony, or sorry, the melody has gotten richer or thicker. But I've just played the same exact melody. I'm just adding a second note on top of it for that one time, so that it's not too repetitive. Because I could do that like 4 times in a row, but it would get boring. So you add a harmony. Same melody, you're just adding a harmony on it. It can make it sound slightly different. Yeah, go for it, Lindsay. I'm not even sure if what I'm saying makes any sense to anybody in the stream anyway. It's just, you know, gotta fill 2 hours somehow, and maybe it'll help somebody. Maybe it'll help somebody somewhere someday if they look at this. But yeah, I use the term trick a lot, which I need to kind of get out of the habit of. Probably should use the word technique instead, but yeah, if you're ever having issues building melodies or making melodies sound more rich, a lot of times adding harmonies can do the trick, and it's something that I even forget to do sometimes. I'll play a song a million times through, like songs like Clover Salad, like I was playing earlier. It's full of weird harmonies on top of the melody, so the melody will kind of go in and out of becoming a chord and not becoming a chord. Chord, melody, chord, melody, melody. Chord, chord, chord. So there's a lot of like chords baked into the melody for that, and that's because I was just trying to add harmonies for every few notes, you know. You don't want it to be all harmonies, because then you basically are just playing a bunch of chords, like your melody. I mean, that's how you get voice-led things, like keyline. Chord. You get things like that. But if you're just trying to build like a fun melody and you want it to sound richer, you can definitely have a bunch of exercises in harmonies. Even if you think about over and under. The first note of that song is here. But I add one extra note underneath it, I go. I'm only doing that to add a harmony for the first note. It doesn't really do anything, and for a lot of you guys, you might not even hear that note. It kind of just blends in with the rest of the song. But the melody does start with 2 notes. Oh, wait. Yeah, and then it does it again there. And then, yeah, just sneaking them in there every now and then. Lindsay says, you're asking a question I'm not qualified to answer. Are 2 notes played together considered a chord? I feel like I should know this, but I feel like it has to be 3 or more. I feel like 2 notes played together is a harmony. I mean, so are chords, but I feel like chord implies, in my opinion, 3 or more notes. Mm. We're super cool today, Cyber. Hi, Cyber. I think one of the main reasons for that is because... Actually, no. I've decided I don't care. I've decided in the moment that whatever, I'm not qualified to explain whatever I think I was going to be able to explain. Best term for two notes is a dyad. That's very funny. There's a game called Legend of Mana where you have to deal with like those things. There's like Dryad and Undine. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? They're like gods, I think. I think they're like elemental gods, but I'm not exactly sure what culture they're from, if that's even a thing. Undine? Does that sound familiar to anybody? Undine? Undine? Undine and Dryad or Dyrad or Dryad or Dryad? Oh. They are the elements. Thanks, Jesse. Undine. Thanks, Crow. Dyrad. Thanks, Crow. What is the elements according to who? Who made these things? What culture is that from? They aren't gods, says Crow. Thank you, Crow. Or is it Undine? I feel like it might be Undine. I feel like it might be Umbe's spelling of it, maybe. Undine, like Undertale. I didn't play that one. Greek. Thank you, Jesse. This has been very productive. This has been very I forgot what we were talking about. Lindsay, what were you talking about? Two notes. Sorry, I had two distinct diagrams that sounded good together. I'm gonna name them A and B, and I played the lower note of A and then B, then the right. My brain is failing. I'm gonna keep powering through, but the right note of A and A, then A, but an octave up. All right, and it created this unexpected melody. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, that makes sense. What about it? But the melody includes the lower note of B, which was weird because usually the higher notes are what resonate to people. I mean, are you still hitting the notes one at a time? That's nice. worst things, yeah, record it, Lindsay. This is the year, right? I would say one of the worst things in the world, on the planet. Hold on, I feel like I gotta sneeze. No, it's gone. It's gone. Anyways, I feel like one of the worst things is when you're listening to one of your projects back, like you're doing the playback, and you're like, I know it's not done. It doesn't sound done. It doesn't feel done. But I have no idea how to make it done. That is one of the worst. It's the worst. It's the worst. I mean, there's two different types of this feeling for sure. There's one type of the feeling where you're just being in your own head because you've listened to it so many times that, you know, you've gotten more married to working on it than you have to, you know, appreciating it as a finished project. But that's not what's happening to me. I'm listening to a song like that's relatively new, and it's like I know something's missing. Sometimes when you get that feeling, or sometimes when I get that feeling, I will default to sprinkles, you know? I will go, oh, I'll just put an ARP here, I'll put some pads here, I'll put a little trumpet elephant sound going like, I'll put some strings, and it'll complement but not detract or distract from what the original idea or melody or hook or chord progression is. But sometimes the original melody, hook, chord progression, or whatever is just so big, it's so complete that it is almost actively fighting any other complement musically to it. And it's a rare thing. It's a rare, at least for me, it's a pretty rare thing because I typically build with smaller and smaller pieces. You do have to have the special sauce. When I say that I'm working in smaller pieces, if you listen to my music with Music Man Brain, which some of you do have actually, you'll notice that a lot of times in, particularly in like two-tone disco stuff that I've made, or in like 2018 Omniboy music, 2017-18, I was working with bigger pieces, big pieces, huge chunks of music. Now, as I started making more complex music, I'm talking post Nice Dream, as far as complex layering, once I was making more complex music, I had to get in the habit of shrinking all those pieces because, I think there's a helicopter or something. Yep, there's a helicopter or something. Now, something that I didn't understand about music is a thing called Headroom. And honestly, there's a lot of people that make music today that don't understand about a thing called Headroom, but I'll press forward. So Headroom is basically when you're making music, guys, you're working with a limited amount of space. You can only make music so big. You can only make it so big. It's weird to think about, and it was hard for me also, especially as a teenager, to wrap my head around that there was a limited amount of space sonically. It just didn't make sense. I was like, there's wide open space everywhere. If I'm making music, especially in a digital space, why can't we just maximize, or grow or increase that sonic space? But for reasons, that's impossible. Reasons I don't actually fully understand, actually. Maximize headroom, crank limiter. Okay, so anyways, there is a maximum amount of headroom that you could have in a song. And for anybody that isn't a musician of the stream, in layman's terms, it's just, you can only have so much sound before things start to distort, You can only have so much sound before things start to distort. Think about it this isn't the best analogy, because if you follow the trail too long, it stops tracking. But think about a photo, if you, look at me. If you, zoom in, if you zoom into it. If you zoom into a photo enough, it starts to become pretty blurry, right? It starts to become pretty distorted. It starts to mess up. you can only, I mean, the resolution, right? You're maxing out the resolution of something. If you keep like zooming in on something and then exporting it, and then zooming in on it and then exporting it, zooming in and exporting it, you're gradually going to decay the quality of the image. Again, this analogy doesn't track completely, so don't look at it too closely. But in Headroom, you can only have so much sound before it starts becoming distorted. There's things like limiters, there's things like compressors that can help this, for sure. Think about like compressing even a visual file, like compressing a PNG or something, compressing an image file. Same thing will happen in music in a few different ways, but there is a maximum amount of headroom you have, headroom or space, just sonic space to create music in. Now, when I was creating music years ago, I used to work with some pretty rudimentary tools, 3Exhaust, Poison, Citrus, like anything that came free with Fruity Loops, I was using that. And so a lot of my songs only had, 6 to 10 moving parts, which was a lot for me at the time. As I started incorporating a lot more sounds, percussive sounds, strings, woodwind sounds, brass, voices, samples. Once I started incorporating all that stuff, guys, the headroom, or the space, gets filled up pretty quickly. And so, in order to make things fit, you can't increase the space. That's the thing. The big lie is that you can increase the space, which you can't do. So you have to shrink the elements in the song. Imagine if you were trying to fit a bunch of cars into a garage. Now, you can probably fit one Hummer, maybe 2 Hummers, but you could fit way more cars if you picked a smaller car to put in the garage. You can't increase the size of the garage, and you can't shrink the Hummer, but you can use smaller cars. You could probably fit more Mini Coopers in a garage than you can Hummers. And you could probably fit more Vespas in a garage than you can Mini Coopers. So if I'm going to make a song, since I'm working with a limited and fixed headroom amount, I would have to make all of my elements of the song smaller, and so maybe the piano isn't so big and boasty and loud and mixed super super wide, stereo and everything. Maybe I make it a little bit smaller so that I can now have strings and flutes and clarinets and oboes and bassoons and cellos, violins, violas, and then have like all of your guys' vocal samples playing, and then have glockenspiel, and then have xylophone, and then also have celesta bell. All of these things have to fit. So that means they need to take up a less space individually. So I make them all very, very small. And so right now I'm listening to a song that I have, and the piano is going. And I have a bass line going. I have bass line. I have the drums. I have 4 stacks of vocals. I did 4 stacks this time. And I actually think I'm doing a 5th stack of vocals like a clown. Something I've been doing, I'll get to that in a second. But I have these vocals, I have the piano, I have the bass, and I have the drums. And I'm like looking for one more thing that I can add to it. I can't figure out what the heck that is. Everything I try to add to it, it doesn't fit. It's like I've tried string arrangements, I've tried brass stuff, and part of me says, well, just leave it alone then, but I can't. It's not a full song. It's not full. It's not finished yet. It's so annoying. Anyways, back to the vocal bit that I kind of jumped over. I don't know how many of you guys record your voice for anything, or actually, it doesn't matter, even if you don't. How many of you guys listen to music? Maybe you listen attentively, maybe you listen passively, maybe you're an active listener, maybe you notice when there's harmonies happening in a song, maybe you notice when somebody's got vocals layered in a song, or when there's delay or whatever on the vocals. Maybe you don't care. But the point is, I recorded vocals for a really long time through my phone. And last year was the first time in my career where I started recording vocals through a microphone. That's because I have this mic now for the streams. And so I started recording vocals through it. And I started playing with doing vocal layers, which was very new to me. And when I was doing vocals on, I will say just about any song that I've done, including Ego Death, Quick Breath, including songs like that, bodies of work like that, I should say. The vocal chains, I gotta tell you guys, they are wild. And when I say they're wild, and when I say vocal change, I just mean the effects that are put on my voice. There's a lot of effects on my voice, whether it's pitching and tuning or vocoding, a lot of reverb, a lot of delay. I was doing a lot of things to my voice, especially on Ego Death. So even though I was recording a lot of my own vocals, they were heavily edited. Even when you listen to songs like, what's a good example? You listen to songs like Venomade, and the vocals in Venomade are heavily like edited and doctored. But the thing that's really interesting about them is they are not layered. They are not layered. So there's something that happens when you're. I'm so glad that you can't smell vocals. I'm glad that you can't smell music. Jesus, Cyber, that would be horrible. If somebody could somehow smell me through my music. But I mean, I guess your breath can stink. That would be a vocal odor. Vocal odor. Vocal odor. Why is it so hard for me to say it? Vocal odor. There we go. Anywho, I think when you're recording your vocals, just one, right? You're just recording one layer of vocals, kind of like how you guys are hearing my voice right now. And then that you have to put a bunch of music around that. Your voice will sound weak. And there's a lot of things that we being a loose, broad term for the music industry, have done over the years to kind of catch vocals up to other instruments in the mix. You compress them, you put a bunch of gain on them, you stereo separate them. You do all kinds of things to make the voice kind of punch through, EQ in a specific way. And so I'm doing all that for sure, I'm EQing vocals and stuff, but something I didn't start doing truly and properly until this year was layering vocals. And I mean, I have 5 stacked vocals now. Usually what I'll do for vocals is I'll record the same thing twice. You gotta start off by recording the same thing twice. You record the same thing twice, and I will pan one slightly to the left and pan one slightly to the right. So you kind of have this stereo thing going on. But what's really important about this, guys, is there's 2 different ways to achieve stereo separation when we're talking about sound. You can take one signal, like I could take my voice right now as I'm talking to you guys, and I can actually go through a software and I can separate it stereo so that one side's coming through a left ear and one side's coming through a right ear, and you kind of get this surround sound effect up with my voice. However, it's going to be the same voice, it's going to be the same signal, the same words, everything's going to be happening at the same time. Something really fun to do that I've realized can get you completely different results is by recording the same thing twice and putting one in the left side and putting one in the right side. It still gives you that stereo effect, but it gives you this more human effect of group vocals. Because no matter how many times you sing something, guys, you're never going to sing it the exact same way twice. No matter how many times you say something, you're never going to be able to say it the exact same way twice. There's going to be small, like, micro changes within your voice, where if you zoom in on the waveform or you just look at the waveform, little things, lip popping, spittle, or breathing or whatever, or, weird intonations, it's going to be slightly different each time. So I record couple of vocals, I separate them, left ear, right ear, and then I record usually octaves of myself. If my voice will permit. If my voice won't permit, I'll do the goofy chipmunk thing of just taking my voice and then pitching it up an octave, but usually I'll try to sing the octave. And some harmonies. And usually by this point I'm like 4 to 5 vocal stacks in. And then I will come in and do the main vocal, which I'm learning a lot about voices this year. Last year, sorry. And probably this year too. I'm learning a lot about voices, particularly their inconsistency. Their inconsistency and how important it is to get a good take, a good take. Like if I'm on the keyboard and I'm playing something, I'm playing like a solo and I mess up a little bit here, sometimes I can just cut this out and then like splice things together to like fix it, like do the little sound doctor stuff where I'm, surgeoning things together. Doing things like that with voice is a little bit trickier, well, a lot trickier, because the voice changes so much, you know, depending on what you do to it. And one thing that I always had, I guess, a misconception about voices that I'm just now learning and has been pretty frustrating for me is if I play, let's say I play this, so you guys can still hear the piano, right? Let's say I play this. That was at like, you know, half volume, and then I play it again like this. Nothing really changed in my performance of the piece. Most of what changed was just me switching the volume knob. You can arguably, hello Dar, good morning. You can arguably take a you can take a quiet take of piano playing, which remember, I'm an instrumentalist first. Singer, really not at all, but I'll say for this conversation, a singer second. Instrumentalist first, a singer second. You can play a piano part really quietly, or a keyboard part, specifically like a synthesizer part really quietly, and then you can just kind of go into the computer and you can just dial up the volume if you need it to be louder. Vocals do not work like this. Recording vocals, you can record vocals quietly, or you can really belt out the vocals, and volume is not the only thing that's changing. Very, very specific things in the sound are going to change. If somebody's talking quietly and they're talking loudly, I can't stress this enough, volume is not the only thing changing. So much in a voice changes, guys, when you say things quietly to when you say things loudly. You'll hit notes different, first of all. Different gravelly, like textural things about your voice change when you're doing them that way. And when you're listening to a, not saying Katy Perry, when you're listening to a Beyonce song, and Beyonce's really belting out the vocals, no matter what volume you have your stereo at, you'll know that Beyonce's belting out the vocals because of the quality of her voice when she's singing really loud. Same thing if Beyonce's just, you know, very, very subtly crooning out some vocals. Even if you max out your whole like sound system, you'll be able to tell that Beyonce's not belting out the vocals. Even if they're breaking your eardrums, your ears are bleeding, you'll still know that this is kind of a subtle crooning. And that is a thing I just didn't really understand about vocals until pretty recently, you know. Maybe I don't want to disturb my neighbors, you know, or something like that, so I don't belt out the vocals when I'm recording them. I kind of do these very soft, quiet, considerate to the space around me vocals, and I'm like, oh, I'll just like turn them up later, or I'll put a, you know, compressor on and I'll make them louder and bigger in post. And it's not the same. It is not the same. And this is a exciting but ultimately frustrating learning experience for me now, because it's like a lot of vocals I have to re-record now because I recorded them, you know, soft, you know, like I was recording to my phone still. I recorded these soft, flimsy vocals, and I'm just putting a bunch of effects on to make them louder, and it doesn't do the trick. So instead what I'm doing now is with vocal layering, I will do the kind of chill vocals and I'll have them as like backing vocals on the side as harmonies. And then I'll try to go back out and belt out the vocals. However, I'm using the word belt very liberally here now. I'm not really doing any like, I'm not going in there. I'm not an R&B singer, so I'm not really going in and belting out anything. But as somebody who personally doesn't have a high register, and when I say high register, I'm talking only about decibels. I'm not even talking about notes. I'm not talking about like soprano high. I mean high isn't just loud. There are so many times, guys, where I'm out. And we talked about this on the stream, actually. I don't know if you guys remember. It was in like the lower 200s, but I talked about like how I just don't scream. And sometimes I'll hear people yell, whether I'm at a game or at a concert, or I'm seeing a kid yell something across the street, and I'm like, I don't know how to do that anymore. Really escalating and like enhancing the volume of like my output, projecting, that's the word, thank you, no one, but projecting my voice is something that I never do. If there's somebody that's out of earshot that I need to get a hold of and they can't see me, I will walk up to them, if at all possible. If I can't walk up to them, then oh well, I just don't talk to them that day or whatever. And I think that there's a whole skill set that goes into being able to project your voice that comes in handy a lot in singing. It's not something that is easy for me to do. It's not something that is easy for me to do. Yelling, screaming, raising my voice, all of that stuff. It's very, very difficult. And so that is a thing. That is a huge thing I'm learning now while recording vocals. That there's an entire space. There's an entire like school of music. There's an entire family of vocal performance that lies specifically in volume, being able to be loud. If you're a singer and you can't be loud, there is a lot of that performance that is just not accessible to you. And so, I don't remember how I got here. Oh yeah, so I'm that's my recording vocals. That's how I do my vocal layers now. I'll record like 4 or 5 layers and I'll separate them. And so I'm not putting a bunch of effects on my vocals now, especially for these new songs I'm making. A lot of my vocals, they're not dry, but a lot of them aren't really ran through the machine now. I'm trying to rely on my own strength as a vocalist and strength of harmonizing with myself to do most of the heavy lifting here. But volume is still a big struggle. Oh, they're saying something about Billie Eilish. Crap! What did Billie Eilish do? Why do I not like her now? What did she do now? Make sure your Audacity spectrogram is a solid color for VNet. I just saw that cyber. Sorry guys, my monitor was dead most of the time while I was talking, so I'm just now seeing comments. Louder sound is a way to get attention in the app music scene. Make sure you use a solid color. Beat best results. I think projecting has a lot to do with how much bass you can have in your voice. I can't project very easily. I disagree with that. I disagree with that. Well, hold on. Actually, hold on. Let me back up for a second. Let me explain myself. I know tons of people that can project incredibly well that have zero bass in their voice, and I think that I personally, and I did touch on this last time I talked about why I can't scream and stuff like that. A lot of it is up here. It has very little to do with my voice. I physically can scream. It's like a psychological block of me not wanting to be loud. Whenever I raise my voice to any degree, I feel gross. I feel disgusting and rude, and so I just can't do it. It's a hard thing for me to mentally push past. Even when I'm in my room alone with just me and a microphone, I feel like if yelling makes me feel ridiculous to any degree. And I know yelling, singing, screaming, I know these are all technically different things. I should just say projecting to that point is just nothing. It's something I see as never necessary in my everyday life. So I haven't broken whatever psychological block I've built up over my life to not be able to do that. But I do agree with Leon about the diaphragm thing. Good old diaphragm. Projection comes from a different place than bass, says Umbe. It's more in the chest and less in the throat. I can't project without bass, but it seems easier to do with lower registers, says Lindsay. Katy Perry, it's all about how much air you can push. Indeed. I just noticed the loudest people I know have lower voices. Oh. All head voice, no chest voice. Oh. Liana, I am all head voice. I had a really interesting conversation with Chuck when he was out here last time. Chuck Sutton was... I can't remember why... I do remember why he was in LA. But anyways, he was in LA for a minute, and he was talking about how he had this big revelation where he was like, I've been singing wrong. I've been singing with headtones, and I haven't really been singing from the proper place. He was like, it changed everything for me. Like, now I'm able to hit these notes that I never thought I was going to be able to hit. And he was like, I'm really mad because I want to go back and re-record all of these songs that I made, because now I hear myself singing them, and it's like, God, what are you doing, Chuck? Like, he had that discovery. And for me, I know it's there. I know that I sing with head voice. And I think one of the main reasons I haven't tried to invest in proper vocal education or vocal training or vocal lessons is because mentally I still don't see I think mentally I don't care about me singing as much. And as I don't care as much about improving as a singer because I don't really identify as one. It's really stupid. It's a whole psychological thing. It's like part of my like mental maze that I've set up to like keep myself from wasting time on things I don't care about. But yeah, I'm just like whatever. I'll sound like this. But I still, within that small weird mental block that I've created, I still have improved as a vocalist. I still do listen, and I think one of the signs of that is being able to listen to like your old music. Like I can listen to my old music. I can listen to Venomade, for example, and go like, I could sing Venomade so much better today with the amount of control and knowledge I have about my own voice. And so I know that improvement has been made, and I'm pretty sure in like 2025 when I go back and listen to Into the Small or freaking Just Believing, I'll be like, crap, I could sing that way better today. I think I'll always be improving, but it's just not my focus, I suppose. I guess I was on one that day. I get what it takes to sing well, conceptually, but yeah, I never seriously practiced. Isn't that funny? Isn't that funny? I was watching Baywatch yesterday, and I'm joking. Wait, no, I'm not. I was watching Baywatch yesterday. God, yesterday was a long day. Anyways, yeah. Yeah, I get it. I'm just definitely not one of those people. It's so hard. I remember my mom, because my mom would sing around the house. And my mom sing in church sometimes, and I remember my mom singing in the house, and me thinking, she's so loud. And it was no disrespect or anything. It wasn't like I didn't like the singing, but I just remember thinking, this is a very loud person in the house today. This is loud. And I was thinking, I could never be this loud. The thought of being that loud, is wild to me. Because to me, it's almost like if you think about when people are really violent and like punchy. I usually use the term punchy, but I'm sure there's a better term. Maybe just very physical. You guys have any friends that are just like always like, they're always grabbing you and shoving you and punching you and like tripping you and smacking you, and they're just very physical people. Whether they're happy, sad, it doesn't matter. Always any excuse to like touch you, and their hands are all over you. I'm not one of those people traditionally, but I have friends like that, you know. And it's kind of funny because when you think about, there are certain settings where being very physical like that would be amazing, you know. Like if you're like a football player, you're a boxer or something like that. It's like, yeah, you need to have somebody that's like not afraid to like go in on somebody. But when you're just like trying to eat your sandwich or something, maybe you don't want somebody to slap you. Maybe you don't want somebody to slap you. And that's fine. That it should be okay. But I have the same thing with like friends that are loud. There are some people that I have where just being around them, I'm always just like, you're like doing that thing where you're looking around because they're really loud. Like you say something and they like laugh really loud, or they're telling you a story really loud and you're in a restaurant and you're like, I think the whole restaurant can hear you. Like I'm right here. Like you don't need to project like that. I was never that person. And I think that in social settings, in my opinion, it sucks to be a really loud person. But in terms of singing, wow, can that come in handy? Is that a skill I wish I had? Being able to fight is a skill that only comes in handy when you're in a fight. I don't know if I, I I don't know that I've ever like taken. Oh, never mind. Never mind. I take back everything I just said. At least about the fighting bit. I'm pretty loud, says Dar. I'm not physical though. Word up. I'm neither Dar. Not a very physical person, nor am I a very loud person. Um, um, yeah. You know, says Cyber. What do I know? I don't remember the chord that comes after that. It's usually. Yeah, what the heck is that? Oh. How am I supposed to hit that? I don't remember what chord goes there. That's scary. There it is. Why would I hit that chord? Very weird. Watch vocal training videos on the weekend and belt it out, says Leon. Dar says, my fact number 290 something, 290, 232. Omni watches way too much Baywatch. Oh, there's no such thing. Ow. It's just the new show. It's just the new show everybody's talking about. No, it's just because I have Pluto TV, and there's a station that just shows James Bond movies, and I've seen all of those. And there's also a station that just shows Degrassi, and I've seen all the episodes of Degrassi. And there's a station now that just shows Baywatch, so it's a Baywatch station now. I think being around loud people can make me louder, but only if I like them as a person. Interesting. Yeah, being around loud people makes me quieter. Being around loud people makes me stop talking at all. I mean, even if I like them. There's this kind of, Dar says, Omni, get a better streaming service. Like what, Dar? Like what, Dar? Is there one that only streams Baywatch? Because that would be sick if they had that. Hey, Chibi Lucy, how you doing? What was I saying? About quiet people? Oh, yeah. I think that in general, there's like a, being around people that are one thing. I talked, it wasn't Dar, was it? That I was talking to about this straight man wild card? I think it might have been actually Dar. Usually being around people that are one thing makes me go on the opposite. It like pushes me to the opposite thing instead of like pulling me to behave more like them. Even if there's somebody that was a lot like me and I started hanging out with them, it would force me to be less like myself. I would act less like myself to counter them. Instead of mirroring them, I suppose. Dar says need to get a streaming service that doesn't stream all of Baywatch. That sounds weird. So it only streams some of Baywatch? Why would I want to watch some of Baywatch instead of not all? That's weird. I'm like one of the people where it's I wouldn't want the whole thing. I don't no cliffhangers here. I want to know what happens next. Cyber says it's trying to fit in Omni. That's just trying to fit in Omni. Everyone does that to curry favor and friendship. Dang. What's that say about me then? Chibi Lucy says, I get what you mean. With loud people, I usually try to shout over them, but I kind of gave up and now I'm the go quieter side. Yeah, that's just me. If people are loud, I'll usually be really quiet. If I hang around people and they're particularly nerdy, I'll kind of like back off and I'll play the foil. I usually play the foil. I'm trying to think of somebody that I will behave more like when I'm around them. And I can't. There's actually sometimes where, like, particularly for like family stuff, right? Like, if I'm away from my family, I think I behave more like my family than when I'm actually with them. Like, if there's like a reunion or a birthday or something and I'm with my family, I'm usually like the oddball out of like a lot of family things. But then when I'm away from my family, a lot of my family's behaviors come out in me because there's nobody here that acts like my family. If that makes sense. Oh boy. But yeah, that can be fun. That can be fun. Anywho, yeah, I don't know how many seasons of Baywatch I have left. It's hard to keep track. I can't figure out. I can't figure that show heads for tails from itself because they keep the cast is rotating, and no offense to any of the cast people. I guess I didn't need to add people. No offense to any of the cast, but it's like they don't go out of their way to get people that look different, or even sound different, or have different names. There's a lot of Matts and Daves and Steves and Chris's, and they all are, they're wearing the red swimming trunks because they're all Baywatch lifeguards, and they all have, blue eyes and white teeth, and they're in pretty good shape, I guess. I don't know. It's really easy to get confused in that show and not know what came first. Anyways, yeah. But I think I've watched at least like 1/5 of it, Dar. So I'm fighting the good fight. I'm fighting the good fight. I think once I get halfway through it, then I can start being a little bit more picky and choosy about which episodes I watch. Then I go straight to Amazon Prime and I watch them in order. I watch them in order and start keeping track. Right now, this is kind of like my trial period taste test where I'm just living the dream of random episodes of Baywatch. I also feel like something happens when you watch a thing. I don't know how relatable this will be because I know a lot of you guys may live in cities that aren't very globally, not even globally popular. I'll say media popular. You're looking at TV and it's like a lot of TV shows are going to take place in New York, or Chicago, or Seattle, or Los Angeles, and then every now and then you'll get like the oddball show that takes place in like Ohio or something, and you're like, oh, this is cool. It's like some like crime procedural or something like that. I think looking at TV shows that are based or supposed to be based in the city I live in is always very fun for me. Yeah, it's just very fun. It's like looking at like New Girl or something like that because they'll do a lot of like things that don't really make sense in context of the city to try to ground it there. There's particularly a scene where in New Girl I remember where she drives to the airport pretty quickly, by the way. And the geography of the city, because they live in the arts district, the geography of the city just would make no sense. The building they show, guys, for New Girl, the arts district loft that the New Girl people live in is not in a cool area. They make it seem like they go outside and it's just cool and there's people walking everywhere and there's a park, and there is not that. That is not a thing that's there. And I don't know. For me, I get a kick out of that. That makes me happy. Kind of like driving to Malibu and my sister in the car says, "Oh right, I've been here in GTA." Yeah, it's like how the like in GTA 5 they have the little jewel heist area that is literally that is a block in Beverly Hills, but it's just funny because it's like this block in Beverly Hills that is like a 5-minute drive from Hollywood, and it's like, no baby, that's not how the city's made. That doesn't make any sense. And then the airport, like, I like stuff like that. It doesn't bother me in the way that some people get bothered by, I guess, inconsistencies and as far as the real city, but I like looking at shows and movies that are based in the city I live in. There's a movie called The Italian Job, you guys, that the remake, by the way, not the original. I haven't seen the original. I'm sure it's great, but the remake, The Italian Job, with like Jason Statham and all them people. That movie takes place in Los Angeles, and I had no idea. I mean, I had never seen it, and if a movie is called The Italian Job, I think I would assume it takes place in Italy, but it takes place in LA, and I mean, half of the kick of that movie was just, it's a good movie, but the other half of the kick of that movie was like, being like, oh, I've been there, and like, oh, I eat there, and seeing them like turn a corner in Hollywood, and then suddenly the street is in downtown LA, and I was like, that's impossible. There's like a lot of cool wormhole moments in that movie where they just jump around the city. It's a lot of fun. And so, yeah, Baywatch is basically that for me. Because it's just a Los Angeles show, and it just reminds me of my life here. In like a weird, bizarro version, I guess, of Los Angeles. Cyber says video games are real. I want tickets to the circus, says Liana. Liana wants to go to the circus. Just watch your Sidewalk Talk interview. Ooh, how'd you like it? How'd you like it? By the way, hi, and welcome to the stream. Sorry I didn't greet you right when you came in. I was in the middle of talking about a thing. Chibi Lucy understands what I'm talking about. Thank you, Chibi. I feel like sometimes in TV, LA is shown to be just as sizable as New York, and that's what's not. Yeah! That's what I like. I think that's what I like. I think because the New York TV show is maybe a little bit more classic and traditional to American audiences. And so having shows set in LA, you want it to mirror that New York experience. You know, you want it to be like people hop in the car, they're at the beach, people hop in the car, they're... And it's just not that. And I think I do enjoy that. I get like a weird kind of awkward amusement out of that. People come to New York and get impressed by how big it is compared to media. For sure. I mean, for sure. For sure. I think that a lot of people think New York, speaking as somebody who also isn't from New York but has been there several times, I think a lot of people think Manhattan is New York City. I think people think that that is New York City. And they kind of discount everything else around it. And so when they get there, and they just get a map and they look at like the size of Brooklyn, I think outside of New York, Brooklyn is portrayed to be like a small chunk of New York City, and Manhattan's bigger or something, or like or Brooklyn is like a weird like little ghetto 4 blocks of Manhattan. It's not really presented to be nearly as big as it is. Yeah, it's really weird. Yeah, a morbid kick out of it for sure. I wish that sometimes there are times when I wish the country wasn't as big, because the media makes it seem that way. Like even for somebody that doesn't know the United States at all, Mumbai and Lucy, I'm sure when they come here, it's like, you know, maybe LA, Chicago, New York, Miami, Seattle, San Francisco. And somewhere, like, there's a small neighborhood in the middle of that called Texas, or I don't know. I just don't know what the outside perception is of it, because even from the inside, I feel like the outward projection is New York, Los Angeles, New York, Los Angeles. And then there's, like, Chicago every now and then. Seattle maybe sometimes. San Francisco, sure, whatever. Miami, yeah, okay. But a lot of states, a lot of whole states, I wonder what it's like. I wonder what it's like to live there and be referenced by, you know, popular media never, you know. What is it like to live in Wyoming? I make fun of Wyoming all the time, but it's like, you know, what is it? What's that like? I've seen East Virginia. That's funny. I like it when East and North and South are put onto things, because, especially when that thing already exists. For example, Hollywood. I've talked about this before. Hollywood is a thing. West Hollywood is a completely separate city, separate police department, separate city hall. It is not simply the west part of Hollywood. It is its own city called West Hollywood. Pasadena exists out here, and there's a completely separate city called South Pasadena. Their own police force, their own city hall, their own rules and laws, separate from Pasadena. And then when you get like a little bit bigger on like a wider scale, right, we have like regions like America. A lot of people in the USA just kind of refer to the United States as America this and America that. And then we have the Midwest. I still am not sure about the Midwest. Do we only call it the Midwest because the like Middle East was already taken as a term? And if somebody said like, "Oh, I'm moving to the Middle East," people would assume you're moving like out of the country. Is that what we call it, Midwest? Because I don't know. I don't really know where the Midwestern line stops and why it's not just called Middle America. Like, Middle America makes sense to me. When people say Middle America, that makes sense. Also, I'm sorry, this is a wax stream, guys. This has just been stream of conscious. But also, there's this thing that I think about a lot when we're talking about cities and mid-city and central. Mid and central are not the same thing. In my brain, especially moving from Arizona out to California, I always thought of mid and central as being the same thing. Mid-city, center city, central city. And they're not the same thing, and I can't quite figure out why. Central LA and mid-city are two different things. Mid-city is a thing in LA. I've been there. I've dated somebody who lived there, so I used to be there all the time. Central is like Watts, Compton, which I also have been. I also dated somebody who lived there for a while. Oh, that's fun. Anyways, I've been to both of these, but they're not at all the same thing. If you say that you lived in mid-city and then you say I live in central LA, like those are two very distinctly different things to say. And two very distinctly different types of people occupy those two different spaces. And if you say you live in South LA and you live in South Central, that's different. Mid-city. In Philadelphia, there's an area called Center City. Wait, Center City. Or is it City Center? I live in Center City. I think it's Center City. I don't know. It's really complicated. The location orientation in the U.S. was heavily New York, Virginia based. So, like, New York and Virginia is the center. Wait, sorry, I've lost everything. I'm sorry, Jesse. I'm sure I completely just misinterpreted what you said. I think because it's west of Mississippi River, but not all the way west, says Leon. Okay, right. So Mississippi River is the middle. Okay, that makes sense then. I feel like being called the Midwest is something to do with Western expansion. And it's like because of the West Mississippi River. It's west of the Mississippi River. Yeah, okay. The river being the cutting line. And we can't refer to the Middle East because the Middle East term is already taken. We already have one of those and it's far away. Then you say middle. I mean, I was talking about mid-city and then central city, but then you think about like middle America. We already know what that is, but then Central America is a completely different thing. Middle America, Central America. Southern America is different than South America. And Southern Hollywood is different than Soho or South Hollywood. North Hollywood is, again, its own city, actually. It's not part of Hollywood. A whole mountain is between. I don't know how many of you guys have been to LA, but that big mountain that says Hollywood on it, North Hollywood is on the other side of that mountain. Like, they're not even connected. There's no roads. Well, there's like 4 roads, I think, that go from Hollywood to North Hollywood. But they go through a mountain. Like, you can't just take surface streets from Hollywood to North Hollywood. The Middle East being called the Middle East is so weird to me. Why? Because of its placement? Yeah, I can see that. I don't know. Honestly, I'm gonna get off geography, but I'm always astounded. I'm always like, maybe it's me being ignorant, maybe it's me being American, whatever. Maybe it's me being both an ignorant American, but there is a lot of times where I do look at a map and I go, huh. And that's it. There is nothing else there. There's just a lot of times where somebody will say something. I'll go check the map because I do have a map on the wall. And I'll look at it, and it's never like something bonkers like, whoa, Argentina's over here. Like, it's never anything weird like that, but it is sometimes like, it's like, oh, huh. Like looking at Chile and being like, wow, it's really long, isn't it? Or looking at the distance, right, between like LA and Chile versus LA to Japan. Because I was gonna fly to Chile for reasons a while back, like a couple of years ago. I didn't end up doing it because the flight was really expensive. And the person I was going to see in Chile was like, well, yeah, it's just like flying to Japan. And I was like, no, it's not flying to Japan. I'm just flying to another part of America. It shouldn't be that big. It shouldn't be that far of a trip at all, but it is. It is. America's huge. And so, like, flying from North America to South America is like flying from, Los Angeles to Japan. And, yeah, so every now and then I will look at a map and I'll get, like, really, like, weirded out. Near East and Far East. Looking for autoplay? Choose whether videos automatically play next. Got it, YouTube. Thank you. Thank you for that. That was very helpful. The thing you just gave me. Leanna says Chrysalis. Chrysalis is dope. Oh, wait, no. Oh, no. Chrysalis does also live in Chile. Chrysalis, when Chrysalis was in LA, was like, never come there. She was like, never come to there. Please. I'll come visit you. When we hang out, I'll come visit you. But she wasn't who I was going to visit. I don't think she would ever let me visit her. Alright, I have to further vilify Nick from The Great Gatsby. Aww. Bye. That's good. Oh, The Great Gatsby. I've read that book 3 times. The first time I read it, I hated it. The second time I read it, I loved it. And then the third time I read it, I felt nothing. I felt absolutely nothing. F. Scott Fitzgerald, though, what a man. I don't know how many people have in this stream read This Side of Paradise. It was like a semi-autobiographical book about him that he wrote about him. And I don't know, man. Like, there's a lot of... I don't know how to describe this very specific type of book. There's a very specific type of book. There's a very specific type of... Oh, man. God dang it. And I'm trying to think of the other one. And I won't be able to think it up in the stream. It doesn't really matter. I'll post it in the Discord if I remember later. But, there's a very specific type of book that's like... And I want to say that this is coming out of my mouth completely, like, neutral. There's no, like, venom or hate or anything here. But there's a type of book where it's like, dude is kind of a wealthy, upper crust, East Coast dude. And he kind of just bounces from life thing to life thing. Like, I think I'm going to be a writer, and now I'm at Yale. And now this is some girl I love. We're married. Here's a kid. I don't like her anymore. She's whack. I need more money. More money, please. And then they get more money. They're like, I'm going to open a sandwich shop. It's like this weird meandering of, like, old American wealth. And there's so many books about it. There's so many books like that. And F. Scott Fitzgerald was like that dude. And he didn't open a sandwich shop. I'm being kind of like jokey at a certain point, but it's just kind of like these people that had like some, they have like an inheritance or money, and then they get with some rando friend, girlfriend, wife who also has some money, and they just kind of, what it feels like, this is good. You know what it feels like is, you know when you had summer break from school and you were just kind of like existing by your own desire. You're like, today, cereal. Tomorrow, I'm thinking cereal. The day after that, who knows, baby? Like, I got a whole summer to kill. Like, you're just kind of living. A lot of those books feel like they're just living, and they are, and they're wealthy and they're happy. Well, they're not actually happy. That's the funny thing. They're wealthy and they're kind of like agitated, and all of the rest of the things of, usually a lot of these books and these stories, the backdrop is like a war, but like all of, there's all these things happening in the world. That's what's beautiful to me, is like, have you ever done this thing? I'm meandering. Wow. Have you ever done this thing where you look up you're looking at a movie or you're looking at a documentary and you're like, it's about some serial killer or something, I don't know, and you're like, oh, it happened in 1960 whatever, and then you think and you're like, wait, the war was happening at that time. How was a whole war happening, but it just didn't seem to affect this group of people? That's what those books are like. It's like you'll think about what's happening, and it's like, oh crap, there was like a huge civil rights movement happening. How come no one mentions it? Like, in this whole story. And it's because those people literally live in like this really wild, like, Connecticut, Boston, Manhattan, New Jersey bubble where they're just like, and they're like listening to, I don't know, big big room jazz, big band jazz, and they're just like chilling. And it's, I mean, it can be really frustrating and infuriating depending on, you know, what mindset you're in when you're reading it. To me, when I read it, it's just very odd. In a cool way, you know, in a cool way. Because I'm sure if somebody were to look at, I do this all the time. I do this all the time where I think about 2016. I don't know how your guys' 2016 went, but for SoundCloud, it was a very great year, right? It was an amazing year. 2016 and 2017, it's like so many people that were in their bedrooms making music, were touring, leaving the country. They were, you know, getting Sprite endorsements and all kinds of stuff. For music, for internet music, 2014, that's too early. 2015, 16, 17, and maybe even into 18 a little bit was like a really great time for music, specifically 2016. And I always think about that. There's so many people that are like, take me back to 2016, please. There's a bunch of like tweets. Everybody's like, I want to go back to 2016. But when you think about it, 2016 was also a really horrible year. Like, I mean, that's when Trump got elected. There was like a lot of things that happened in 2016 that were like actually garbage. But when I think about 2016, I think about this weird bubble of the music industry that I was in, where everything was actually pretty sick. And then in 2017, I'm like, oh yeah, like 2017 was sick. I was on tour. I went on tour with Slow Magic. Uh, yeah, it was great. I like made bookings for Japan. I got like a bunch of stuff signed. I got sponsored by Yamaha. They took me. I was doing all these cool things, and it was like, but on the grander scale, the year was horrible. It was like a lot of crap was happening that year, right? I think the only reason that 2020, I think quarantine forced a lot of people in 2020 to live in the same world with one another. But most of the years before that, it was like I was in a bubble. And reading things like This Side of Paradise, reading all of these like older books that were usually set in a very specific, wealthier, usually Jewish. There was a lot of the writers were Jewish. A lot of these writers that were writing this specific type of book, they were like existing in kind of this bubble that I didn't have access to and I didn't grow up in. But usually when you looked at the actual like events of the world, it was like, wow, a lot of really messed up stuff was happening. But these people, that was their bubble. Going to like country clubs. Now, guys, I still to this day have not experienced fully a country club what it is or what they do. A lot of the country clubs out here, as you could imagine, have gates around them. I can't see what they do in there. I assume golf and like get massages and go into spas and like drink fancy drinks and wear robes. I don't know. I don't know what a country club really is for, but I know it costs money and I know they won't let just anybody in. But I remember as a kid, my mom always saying, you guys need to clean. This isn't no country club. You guys think this is a country club? You need to clean. And even as a kid, I was like, I'm not exactly sure what a country club is, but I know she's mad and I need to clean. And so I don't know much about a country club, but I know it's fancy. And in a lot of these books, they go to country clubs. They're like in country clubs. That's how they're making friends and meeting people. I'm like, what is this world? Very wild. Wild stuff. Anyways, Leon says it was poppin', talking about 2016 music scene. Yeah, it was, but more toward the end of the year. Yeah. The year started bright and ended horribly. A lot like 2020. Jimmy Lucy says, there's a name for those writers from that era doing that kind of writing, which I forgot. If you can remember Chibi Lucy, please tell me, because it is a thing that I've read a lot of those books. Part of me actually did enjoy those books, if I'm being honest. It was almost like reading alien scripts. It was just like a part of the world that I have never been a part of and never will be able to participate in. Seeing how that is illustrated is always kind of interesting to me. The experience of a country club is an enigma to me, says Lindsay. Yeah. Hi, what's up, Kid James? Country club. I'm not exactly sure what the country part implies. Country club. I'm sure its origins are very old, you know, and if I looked them up, I would understand. But yeah, I've never been a part of a country club. I love that. Guys, it's impossible to not hit interesting chords. If you just let your fingers fly, you'll hit something fun. It might not sound good. Like, that didn't sound good. It sounds really dissonant and weird and sad. But I like it. Jesse says they're out in the country instead of in the city town. I thought maybe that might be it, but I didn't know how long we had been using the term country, like countryside. But that's cool. Country clubs. Does anybody know about I'm gonna end it. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna play some music and we'll go over news. But Soho House. How many people in here are familiar with Soho House? Please tell me at least 3 people. At least 3. All I need is 3. How many people in here are familiar with Soho House, please? Ooh. Oh my goodness. Sorry, I'm tabbing away. That sounds vaguely familiar, says Chibi Lucy. Lindsay says nope. Jesse says the restaurant. I think I went to one when I was 12 for a bar mitzvah after party. A country club or a Soho House? A country club. So Soho House is a thing that I thought more people in the stream would know about. But you don't, and that's fine. So Soho House is a thing. I guess unless you live in LA or New York, I think there might be one in Miami. I don't know. There's probably no reason why you would know about Soho House. But Soho House is like the most like Illuminati level like country club. Like, oh, there's one in Chicago. I bet there freaking is. And you can't just like go. You can't just go to Soho House. Like, you have to be a member of Soho House. I don't know how you become a member of Soho House. Hold on. I don't know, guys. Oh, I think I can just like I think I can just become a member online. Find the right membership for you. Oh, that's sick. So anyways, Soho House is really expensive, and it's like very like, it's not for regulars like me. You can be invited. Yeah, it's very private. It's like somebody knows you, they let you in. It's like, have you guys ever heard of Magic Castle in Hollywood, where all the magicians go? You can only get in there also if a magic man invites you. I'm getting distracted. I have heard the term Soho House, but I don't know what it is. Yeah, it's like a club for like fancy folk, and um, I have never been invited. Of course, I haven't. Somebody did say they would take me, but I think they realized they didn't have to. I think that I was off of the good graces of an attractive woman I used to hang out with, and they wanted to take her, and I think they were offering to take all of us because they thought I was part of the deal, and I wasn't, and they took her instead. You know, a similar thing also happened with the Magic Castle. I know a guy who opened a boba place. He opened several actually. He's cool. I like him, but he was always like, do you want to go to Magic Castle? Because he's also a magician, so he has a membership in Magic Castle. And I was like, I'd love to go to Magic Castle. You can see it from the street in Hollywood. It looks like Hogwarts. It's like, this is where they whisked Harry Potter away to. And I was like, I would love to go. And he was like, okay, well, we'll go someday. And then I would always see photos of him there with all these attractive ladies, but never Omni. I was never in tow. I don't know if he just he realized it's a well, whatever. Anyways, I'm sure cool stuff happens inside of Magic Castle. Jesse says there's a lot of black people in their pictures, making me wonder now. Well, I mean, yeah, there's like Jay-Z's like a Soho House member. I think that you can be a member of Soho House if you're black and important. I've got a lot of friends that can go to Soho House. They're just more important than I am. I should say, rephrase. I have a lot of black friends that have been in and regularly go to Soho House. They're just more important than me. I like rappers and whatnot. Jesse says, real talk, Soho House is kind of thing I would want to start. Private clubs are always interesting, says Jesse. You know, there is a woman from Australia that used to come and hang out with me all the time. She was really cool, by the way. And she's who I'm going to crash with if I ever go to Australia. Now that's a lady you can trust. But that's her thing, Jesse. She wants to start a club, and she wanted to start it in Palm Springs, actually. And she was like doing all this research and like getting all this like I was so confused because I had never met anybody that was their goal. They like wanted to start a club. She was like, I want to start. It's like a spa thing. It'll be all about like healing, and it'll be very very exclusive. And I was just like, that's interesting. I didn't know that that was even a thing. This was before I knew Soho House existed, by the way. This was a while ago. They interest me as a writing subject. Ugh, I love writers. What was I saying? Yeah. Anyways, Soho House. What's the news? Did I play the sound? 294. I didn't play the sound. Hold on. It's called. Freaking love pizzicato strings. Finally a good one. Oh man, that's sick as heck. Wait, hold on. Give me 1 second. There we go. That's my layering, baby. and like the glockenspiel on top is such a, I don't know where I got that from, you know, because I didn't do it, you know. It's definitely not me. It's been done so many times before, and I've heard it in a lot of songs, but I just want to know where I got it from, where I heard it from. Was it Zelda? Was it a Disney movie? Where did I get that? Because it's such a part of like my, when I'm layering percussive instruments, it's like, yeah, I got to get the pizzicata in there, got to get the glockenspiel in there, and usually a xylophone or something. I just want to know where it came from, you know. Anyways, Jimmy Lucy says, I'm trying to find the name of that group of writers, and I got the time Hemingway and Fitzgerald measured dicks. Yo, why didn't Hemingway... I mean, this is kind of a rhetorical question, Chibi, because you might actually know the answer to this, from judging just from how much you seem to know about these authors that I was reading a lot of, but why didn't Hemingway like Fitzgerald? What was that all about? I mean, their writing styles are so different that to me it doesn't even feel like they would need to be, you know, compared or even said in the same breath. Why was there like that weird rivalry there? Did one die? Didn't Hemingway die? Well, they're both dead. I realized that was a stupid question. I was just like, that seems to be a whole narrative, right? Like Hemingway not liking F. Scott Fitzgerald, F. Scott Fitzgerald not liking Hemingway, and I just don't really understand where that came from. It doesn't make sense to me. 2,200 a year, says Jesse. What are you talking about? According to this article, Hemingway said Fitzgerald is sized fine, so if they weren't friends, that also confuses me. Oh, $2,200 a year is what Soho House costs? Okay, so first, I almost said, that's not that bad. But I do want to shoot myself a little bit of bail. The reason I said that's not that bad is because I don't understand how money works, and usually whenever anything is like glitzy, glamoury, I just assume really high. To me, $2,000-ish a year is not a thing I would do, but I mean, I think that there's plenty of like nobody brokies that could afford to be a member of Soho House. But for what? Why? They'd have to have the wildest TVs in there. PS5s, as far as the eye can see. I mean, that doesn't sound too bad. Gotta give me a PS5 some point this year. Alright, as far as news, I do have Music Out's Signals, House of Omni, Tall Tales. God, I love this sound combination. Also the Nice Dream, there's Love Dream, there's Speed Dream, there's Daydream, there's Less Dream, there's Quick Breath, there's Ego Death, and you can get them all on Bandcamp, SoundCloud, Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, Google Play, Amazon MP3, Tidal, Proof, Deezer, Pandora, Napster, and YouTube. You know what's funny, guys? Yesterday was, I didn't tell anybody this, but yesterday was the anniversary, the 4-year anniversary of my Bad and Bushi remix. The remix that I've finally gotten away from. Nobody comes into the stream asking me to play it anymore. It's officially 4 years old. It was yesterday. And I told myself a couple days ago, 2 yesterdays ago, I told myself, I think I'm gonna come back to Twitter on the 4th anniversary of the Bad and Bougie remix. I'm gonna post a video that says, "Hey guys, this is 4 years old," and I was gonna record a video of myself doing a much more improved and modernized version of it that maybe spoke more to my sensibilities today as an artist and how much I've grown in the 4 years. And then yesterday happened, and I was like, okay, so there's 2 ways I can tweet today. There's 2 ways I can tweet. I can either tweet in a completely tone-deaf way, like, screw what's going on in the world, here's some fancy jazz chords, or I could comment on what was happening in the world. And I didn't want to do either of those things, so I just didn't go back to social media yesterday. I didn't do the Twitter thing. No Twitter posts, no Instagram posts. And, yeah. What a Wednesday. So anywho, as far as news, the news was going to be today. I'm back on Twitter, guys, but the news is not that. The news is instead that I am still not there. I'm just chilling and minding my own business. Tone deaf do seem to be the move 99% of the time. Ugh, I love Umbe. Yeah. Yeah. One of like, I can't even call him my homie. He's not really like my dude, but like a producer that I've like been in the same circle with, I guess, for a while and talked with, was like making jokes all day yesterday about what was happening, and I was like, thank goodness we have people like that, because I'm not one of them. At least not here right now, anyway. I just don't. Tone deaf is cool. Tone deaf's great, but it doesn't look good on me. I think it's like the whole loving fictional characters but not wanting to hang out with them in person. You ever see somebody like make a really wild joke and you're just like, that's cool. This is par for the course of Twitter. But if I had that joke, I'd send it to somebody else. Like during those, anyway. Anyways, you're absolutely right though, Umbe. So I'm still not on Twitter, but I don't know, quarantines maybe at some point. I do feel like. Have you guys ever jumped out of a plane? I haven't, but I was going to last year. It got canceled. Kind of sad. It was supposed to be a birthday thing for myself. But have you ever been getting ready to do something and you're just so afraid to do the thing that you're like, I just gotta go for it, baby. There is no right time. The time is whenever I make it happen. There is a slide at Gulfland Sunsplash in Arizona, Mesa, Arizona, where the way the slide worked is you would stand on a platform and the platform underneath you would just drop out and you would fall through like a tube, and it was really cool because you never really knew when the platform was going to drop, so you yourself didn't have to go down the slide. You would just stand there, and usually the dude would like be talking to you. He'd be like, hey, so is it your first time at Sunsplash? And you're like, yeah, it's fine. And they would always drop the platform when you weren't expecting, like you're midway through conversation, or he's like, oh, are you ready? And you're like, yeah. And then he's like, oh, hold on, like let me get you something. And then they go, and then the platform drops out. It's really good. They really are dedicated there to the joke. But anyways, I liked that ride because it kind of forced me to go down the slide. And I feel like there's this really funny thing that's happened to me now, pretty much ever since March, where I keep going like, oh, you know what, this is when I'm going to probably release music, or this is when I'm going to come back. Now's my time. And every time I think it's that time, something awful happens. And so, and then I don't end up doing the thing. And I wonder if it'll be like 2027 one day. And I'll think, now's the time where I can release these disco tracks. And then like World War III starts, and I'm like, I'll wait until 2035 then. Like, I don't know now when the time to release music is now, but it has been a full year. It's been a full year now, so I guess no one's dying. Well, people are dying. Skydiving is on my bucket list, says Umbe. I'm definitely doing skydiving. Well, I was going to do it last year. I was going to do it the year before that. It keeps getting, something keeps happening, you know? I don't know, but I definitely want to do it soon. That's like a huge thing for me. I've wanted to do that for a really long time. It's just, there's a lot of prep and it's kind of expensive, so it's not something you can really do on an impulse. You kind of do have to do a lot of like research and prep first, and so I think that was usually pretty discouraging for me earlier on, but I think I'm ready to do it. I think I'm ready to do it now. Anywho, no new music super soon then. Things are wild. Thanks for streaming, by the way, yesterday, Cyber. That was fun. That was fun. Eating and watching Cyber play a game that I probably won't be able to play was just what the doctor ordered. Bungee jumping would also be on my bucket list, but it'd have to be the last thing on the list. I love Umbe. Umbe, you're killing it today. Yeah, same. But like skydiving is like chill for me. Bungee jumping is a completely different. That I don't want. I don't know if I can do that. I don't know about that, but skydiving feels doable to me. Bungee jumping, I just feel like, for whatever reason, for a lot of very logical reasons and for some illogical reasons, skydiving feels more safe to me than bungee jumping. Or at least if I die skydiving, I'm chill. If I die bungee jumping, I feel like there's a chance I might survive. And I don't know that I want to come out of that. Oh, anyways, yeah, that's all the news. Um, I'm surprised Crow didn't fly away. I'm sorry, Crow. Whoa, thanks, Crow. I did look up expecting that there to be some vitriol from Crow, but that's sounds like Rugrats might have been the most positive thing that I could have expected. Thank you. I appreciate that. Rugrats was a show, wasn't it? I do want to thank everybody for being very respectful to me during this slightly longer stream, but we did the 2 hours, and I want to thank everybody for being patient with the fact that I didn't really play a lot of music. If there was a medley, it was very short and not very explorative. Um, but yeah, and also thank you for being polite to each other. I always do appreciate that. I'll be in the Discord today. Today I got to get some work done. Yesterday was supposed to be like my work day, and I got nothing done. I got absolutely nothing done. So today we're going to give it another. We're gonna give it another shot. Have a good thoroughly enthused Thursday, says Leanna. I love the thused in there. I love the thused. Thank you, Leanna. I will try my best. I got my English rambling in for the day. I'm alright. If you remember, oh, I think you did. You said it was like something Hemingway. Hmm. Thanks for being in the stream, Libby. I appreciate it. I'll see you guys. I'll see you guys either in Discord or I'll see you for tomorrow's stream at 9 a.m. for morning medley number 290. Oh crap! It's a production stream. Ay ay ay. The internet's been really bad lately, guys. So I'm gonna see what I can try to do, unplugging and plugging things back in again. But just know that tomorrow I'm going to be streaming on prayers, prayers and fumes. But hopefully you can make it. I don't even know what we're going to be making, but I guess we'll find out tomorrow. Also, I'll say this really quickly before I end. If there's anybody that maybe prefers the evening Friday streams, let me know because again, it's not looking like I'm getting out of quarantine anytime super soon. So I don't even know if my Friday nights are going to be so taken with things. Let me know if you guys prefer the evening stream or if the morning stream is fine because I feel like right now I can go either way. Anyways, abo everybody.